King Charles just signed off on a new rule. And with this single move, the future of the royal family is changing forever. The rule was clear and unforgiving. Any child who wants to remain in the royal line of succession must be raised full-time in the United Kingdom under direct royal supervision. No exceptions, no special treatment, no shortcuts. And the moment that rule landed, everyone knew who it hit first. Archie and Leet, Harry, and Meghan's children. Born into royal blood, but raised far from royal walls, they live in California. They've never been part of the daily palace structure. They don't follow royal routines. They don't grow up inside the system that shapes future heirs inside palace circles. This wasn't seen as some boring administrative update. It was seen as a statement. A statement that the monarchy was drawing lines, a statement that proximity now matters more than sentiment. For Meghan, this wasn't just a rule change. It felt like a door closing because this wasn't about paperwork or protocol. It was about whether her children would be recognized as part of the royal story at all. And in one decisive move, the monarchy made its position unmistakably clear. This was only the beginning. That first rule alone was enough to shake things. But then came the second one. King Charles approved another condition, and this one cut even deeper. From now on, only the children of active working royals would remain in the line of succession. Not blood alone, not birth alone. Service. If a royal doesn't show up for duty, represent the crown, and actively serve the institution, their children don't hold a place. And here's where the past came rushing back. In 2020, Harry and Meghan made their choice. They stepped away from royal duties. They chose independence over obligation. At the time, it was framed as freedom. But under this new system, that decision came with consequences, permanent ones. Their children no longer fit the structure. Not because of scandal, not because of punishment, but because the rules had changed. 2 rules, 2 strikes, both pointing in the same direction. This wasn't chaos. This was design. Officially, the palace insisted none of this was personal. Behind closed doors, advisors called it a structural update, a way to slim down the monarchy, to protect its future, to reduce confusion and instability. But structure sends signals. And the signal here was loud and cold. The monarchy was done bending, done stretching rules to accommodate distance, done carrying branches that no longer lived inside the system. This wasn't revenge. It was reorganization. And reorganization always reveals priorities. Who stays close, who fades out? Who belongs to the future? And who becomes history? For Meghan, it felt like a racer. For the palace, it was order. And just like that, the line was drawn because this wasn't the end of the story. This was the opening move. For Meghan, this was never just about titles. That's the part many people miss. This was about belonging, about recognition, about whether her children would be seen as legitimate parts of a legacy she believed they were born into. From her perspective, these rule changes didn't feel neutral. They felt targeted, too specific, too perfectly timed. 2 rules, both written after she and Harry stepped away. Both landing directly on her children. To Meghan, that didn't look like coincidence. It looked like a racer. She believed the palace wasn't just reshaping the monarchy, it was quietly rewriting her family out of it. And the more the palace insisted this wasn't personal, the more personal it felt. Because when rules are rewritten after you leave, and those rules only affect your children, it doesn't feel like reform. It feels like a message. And Meghan heard it loud and clear. Just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get colder, the palace made another move. And this one was far more unsettling. A formal clarity review. Normally, these reviews are boring, routine paperwork checkups handled quietly behind the scenes, but this one was different from the start. This review wasn't handled by office staff or archivists. It involved constitutional experts, legal advisors, historians, people who specialize in succession law. That combination only appears when something is seriously disputed or when the consequences could last for generations. The focus of the review was everything connected to Harry, Meghan, and their children: birth documentation, medical confirmations, paperwork, timelines, eligibility details that were never examined this closely before. No accusations were made. No hostility was shown. But the message was unmistakable. The monarchy was tightening its grip and removing every ounce of uncertainty along the way. While all of this unfolded, another figure moved quietly into the center of the story. Prince William. For years, William stayed in the background, learning, watching, preparing. But now, insiders say he has stepped into a far more decisive role. He is no longer just the future king. Hayes becoming the protector of the institution. Sources close to palace discussions describe him as firm, focused, and completely unwilling to tolerate instability. After years of interviews, accusations, and public drama surrounding Harry and Meghan, William's patience has worn thin. He doesn't see this as personal. He sees it as responsibility. One advisor summed it up bluntly. William will cut a limb to save the body. Where Harry stepped away, William stepped forward. Where Meghan challenged the system, William reinforced it. And where King Charles began reshaping the monarchy, William is preparing to finish the job. The message inside palace walls is clear. The crown will not carry chaos into the next generation. At this point, Meghan didn't just feel shut out. She felt cornered. And that's when the conversation shifted from emotion to law. Behind the scenes, Meghan began speaking with lawyers, not just in California, but in the United Kingdom as well. She wanted answers, real ones. She wanted to know whether the monarchy had the right to change succession rules in a way that affected her children. Specifically, she began looking at the 1701 Act of Settlement, a foundational law that has shaped royal inheritance for over 300 years. To Meghan, the timing of these new rules felt deliberate, too precise, too convenient. She believed the monarchy wasn't just modernizing. It was responding to her and Harry's departure by rewriting the rules around their children. The palace, of course, insisted the changes were overdue, necessary, neutral. But from Meghan's point of view, neutrality disappeared the moment her children became the only ones excluded. And once lawyers enter the room, nothing stays quiet anymore. Here's where the story turns painful. Because if Meghan pushes forward legally, Harry doesn't get to stay in the middle. A legal challenge forces sides, public sides. If Harry stands with Meghan, he stands against his own family in court under scrutiny with documents and testimony laid bare. If he stands with the palace, he breaks the bond he promised never to abandon. There is no soft landing here. No compromise that saves everyone. Sources say Harry feels the pressure building. Every option heavy, every path irreversible. He's a husband trying to protect his family. A son watching the gates of his past close. A prince without a home base. Two worlds pulling him in opposite directions. And only one choice can be made. By now, there's no confusion about where everyone stands. On one side, the monarchy is closing ranks, rules rewritten, titles redefined, succession realigned, a clarity review, digging through the past with quiet precision. King Charles is no longer bending. William is not compromising. The institution is choosing order over emotion. On the other side stands Meghan, determined, furious, ready to fight for what she believes her children were born into. To her, the rule changes feel like an eraser. The clarity review feels like an invasion. And the distance between California and London feels wider than ever. And standing directly between these two forces is Harry, pulled so tightly that something has to give. This is the moment before everything breaks open. Because if Meghan moves forward, the monarchy will be forced to respond. Not with statements, but with evidence, documents, testimony, private history the royal family has kept sealed for generations. Once that door opens, there is no returning to peace. This stops being a family dispute and becomes a constitutional storm. The future of two royal children becomes the centerpiece of a historic reckoning. The monarchy is preparing to move on. Meghan is preparing to fight back. And Harry is preparing for the hardest choice of his life. Whatever happens next will not be quiet. It will not be gentle. And it will not be easily undone. Because this isn't the end of the story. This is the spark. The moment before the explosion.